Thank you. And really thrilled to be here. I'm at my third Abu Dhabi Finance Week, and it's amazing to have an opportunity to be here on stage. More importantly, it's amazing to have an opportunity to be here with Jose. So Jose has built a business with a partner, which is angel investing at VC scale. They are never a lead in a round, and they are never on a board. It's about $1 billion under management. They have about 20 people in their firm. They see about 300 deals per week in terms of inbounds. They have roughly 1,000 positions, maybe a little bit less, so a huge number of companies. Roughly 40 unicorns in that list that they've really led or been early, and then a number of companies that they've invested in a bit later, so call it 75 companies that have been sort of from unicorns to decacorns. Now, they are enablers of marketplaces that drive networks. That's their core philosophy, as I've spent some time with Jose learning about his business. So FJ comes from the word Fabrice and Jose, and that's Jose's partner. So why did you marry Fabrice, and when, and how is the proposal?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having us here. We are big believers on the future of this region, and we are very excited to have the possibility of continuing to coming over, and learning and sharing our learnings with the groups here. So thank you for that. Now, in terms of FJ, Fabrice and I go way back. I started my first company right out of Stanford when I was 22, and Fabrice was building the same business for France. He ended up giving me the technology to start my first company that became more than a decacorn eventually. It's a company in Latin America called Mercado Libre today. My company was called The Remate. And Fabrice and I were friends, and met already 25 years ago plus. And we ended up keeping a very tight relationship since, very complementary. Then we went on to build another company that became one of the largest online classified businesses in the world. So had the privilege and luxury of building two unicorns, to the purpose of this panel. And then we became investors by chance. We were not thinking that we're going to manage money of no one else, and we were just deploying our own money in a way where founders were coming to us and were saying, "Hey guys, we want to learn from you guys. We want to have you in our cap table. So let's invest." And then Fabrice and I said, we don't know if we're going to make a lot of money here, but let's help the community. Let's do something we like, something we're very excited. And then we started to realize that we were getting incredible deal flow, that we were getting incredible returns. And then we became massively aggressive into deploying our own capital. And at the beginning, we said, let's create a holding company that let us do what we like. And that was really the genesis of FJ Labs.
What year was that, Jose?
This is in 2015.
Okay.
So,
it's
10
been years.
Almost 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
We said, well, we have to start deploying our own capital. And very quickly, we realized that investing $20 or $30 million of our own money per year was not necessarily sizing up to the opportunity. And we had the privilege after that, to start raising external capital. And as of today, we manage about $1 billion of external capital and north of $220 million of our own money. So very exciting ride, very complementary skills. And when we talk about spotting or building unicorns, one of the single most important thing is, to have passion and to have drive. And as founders, Fabrice and I have been historically complementary, and we have done, a lot of things that he likes that I don't like as much, and vice versa, which makes that bonding and marriage very synergic and very interesting.
Amazing. So great yin yang, which based on 2015, which was an interesting transition time, and certainly since 2020, it's incredibly important to have balance and figure out a way to maximize while the world is quite active or volatile. So obviously there's AI companies and there's cloud and there's blockchains. A lot of people think those are interesting and maybe there's some ways to invest directly, but oftentimes these technologies are applied much more broadly. So if you want to find an AI company only, there may be several. But if you want to find companies that are taking advantage of AI, there's a lot more of them. And based on your model where you see hundreds and invest in many. So if you think about the idea of like the retail consumer e-commerce space or media or delivery services, and you've touched all of these, how do you think of that horizontal sort of technology waves versus how you take advantage of it where maybe the real problems or the opportunities exist in terms of applying those technologies much more broadly and globally?
Yeah, I mean, we actually focus in investing on the things that we understand very well. And I think that already gives us a very strong edge. Having been founders of marketplaces, we have been investing in over 1,000 companies historically. So that is an amazing asset to have because very quickly you can spot trends. You can realize when we see 10 or 15 companies that are trying to do the same thing, we say, well, there is something happening here. No? Now,
so you're telling me that having an understanding helps you invest?
Yes.
That sounds crazy.
Yes.
Interesting.
No, but having experience, having built businesses is actually quite attractive. Now, if you put on top of that the ability to be able to see a lot of deals, that's incredible. Now, our initial thesis was verticalization of horizontals, to your point. No, I mean, we look to businesses. The second company we built is a very large horizontal classified business called OLX. And Fabrice and I were saying, well, do we think that a lot of these vertical categories in the horizontals are going to be disrupted? And clearly we started to place bets on companies that were building some of these verticals. And frankly, been very surprised that even in verticals that we thought were way less attractive, there's been massive companies that have been built. No? So that has been a thesis for us, which is going to horizontal companies like eBay or like Craigslist and then finding businesses that you can verticalize. Now, on top of that, we have learned a lot about network effect businesses. FinTech have very strong network effects. We've been lucky and privileged to invest in some of the most attractive FinTech businesses in the world, companies like Nubank or Revolut or, that have become massive unicorns. They have very strong network effects. So a lot of synergies that we have built out of our model. And most recently, the AI situation. I mean, everybody in the Valley is investing in generative AI. 70% of the capital that was deployed in the US in the last 12 months was geared towards AI.
7-0.
7-0.
Wow.
No? So that obviously creates scarcity into other sectors that are not necessarily AI-oriented. And a lot of that AI investment is in generative AI. Now, we are big believers that the generative AI is going to be won by some of the large incumbents. I mean, clearly players like OpenAI, Anthropic, they are doing incredible things. And the question here is, do you really have the ability on place where technology can become a commodity, can you really build, a sustainable advantage and make sure that even though you have very quick growth, that technology doesn't create a race to the bottom, no? Mm-hmm. So I have way bigger question marks on how generative AI would disrupt marketplaces. And the way we play AI is not necessarily by placing bets on generative AI. I believe that some of the people that are investing at very high prices in some of these generative plays might not end up making venture returns. The way we play AI is by utilizing or playing cards on businesses that can utilize AI to build something or to do something that couldn't be done before, or to be able to do something that was being done before in a much more efficient way. And on top of that, I add what I call the picks and shovels of the industry. So the fact that the AI is here to stay, that is massively transformative, and that is creating a big change in the world, will create a lot of things surrounding AI that would create very big business opportunities. No? So that's where we are placing our bets these days. We believe that we have a number of early stage companies that we have backed that would become unicorns. But historically, when you have such a diversified portfolio, it's frankly easier to be able to catch unicorns than maybe if you invest on a 25 company fund per fund, 25 company per fund, compared to us that we invest in about 150 companies per year. No?
Yeah. And if you go to the FJ Labs website, by the way, it's super interesting. Just by the way, there's so many words on it by design. So when we talked in our prep about the things that prevent companies from succeeding, we talked about product market fit, unit economics. On the big AI side, there's a lot of debate about unit economics and energy, and then what is the real purpose of these? Is it practical? Is there an ROI? You don't really deal with that end of it, but you're very much on the other end where companies fail often because they have a fine idea, but it's not the right product, it may not be the right market, and they maybe didn't go to market properly. But how do you think about that failure mode, and what has your experience been on that missing product market fit or unit economics, which we talked about a bit?
The single most important factor that make companies fail is problems between co-founders. So that means that when you choose your co-founders or when you invest in a company, make sure that you have a good grasp on how those co-founders work together, how do they know each other, and whether they are complementary, and a good fit. No, I think that's a very, very important thing. Now, as soon as you do that, early stage companies raise money just to test things. And we like to see companies that have the ability, to spend money, and do a lot of stuff. Of course, when you test things, you make a lot of mistakes, and you have to create a culture where you allow people to make mistakes. Because if you don't allow people to make mistakes, people don't test, and if you don't test, you don't figure it out. No, so that is the initial phase of any startup. Spend a little bit of money to start testing and to start understanding what's happening. Now, from there, we are very unit economics driven. No, so for us, there's no product market fit until we understand that there is, if not clear unit economics at the moment, at least that there's a very clear path, to be able to make money on a per unit basis. No, and for us, that is incredibly critical as we spot interesting opportunities. We like to see things that either have the ability to prove that you put money in and you put money out, and that you are going to pay back your investment, and that even if it's not today, because in a lot of cases you cannot see unit economics working at the beginning, to make sure that the founder has a path and that the founder is thinking about, yes, I'm putting this money in and I'm going to get it out.
Amazing. So bad marriages design bad product market fit, which then can't even get to the unit economic problem. That's a very interesting point. And personally, I'm sure that resonates with everybody. It's hard to build a big platform, even as a family where you've married Fabrice. How is your partnership going with your Fabrice? Are you guys on good terms? Because he's been talking about you a little bit.
Incredibly good terms, very synergic. We've been together for many years. But also what I can say is we like to see people that think big. And I encourage the audience, whoever is an entrepreneur here, whoever is an investor here, let's look for people that want to think big. Let's look for people that want to change the world. Those are the people that we like to back. And those are the people that we like to partner with. Big ideas don't happen until you have people that want to drive them. And it's very easy to say, we are going to back the best people. We could spend a whole conversation talking about what does that mean. But anyway, people matter, and let's think big.
Think big, run small, 2, 1, done.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.